3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to another Friday news here at Bamsters. The big news this week is of course Blizzard and Apple both kowtowing to Chinese interest over the events in Hong Kong and the boycott Blizzard hashtag that's been spreading on social media. This is a large and complex topic with walkouts amongst Blizzard staff, severely one-sided and onerous contracts, hosts and casters either walking away from Blizzard or being asked to leave, Gamergate supporters jumping into the fray, and a company that makes a significant portion of its revenue in mainland China now panicking. There is no way we can cover this in just a news blog, so for now we're including a link to an article on Game Daily, and suggest everyone keep an eye out for more news and social media posts while we all wait to hear what Activision Blizzard will do next, and what impact it will have on BlizzCon only a couple of weeks from now. In other news, Sony has finally revealed the name of the PlayStation 5, and it will be PlayStation 5. Up until earlier this week, Sony had been playing coy about what they were planning to call the PS5, possibly because many weren't expecting the PS4 to be called PS4 due to how the number 4 sounds like the word for death in Japanese and Chinese. It was also clarified that the ray tracing support announced for the PS5 won't be a purely software solution, but will have some hardware support, likely from the AMD Navi or RDNA GPU. Current RDNA-based graphic cards on the market do not have any ray tracing support, and officially only next year's RDNA 2 will have ray tracing. RDNA 2 is currently still in design for a 2020 launch, so precisely what's inside the PS5 is anyone's guess. Interestingly enough, AMD drivers from Microsoft Windows have had DirectX ray tracing support in them since July, likely due to the next Xbox, but this also means there's now speculation of a software-only solution for RDNA 1 GPUs coming at the end of the year. And staying with the PlayStation news, along with the recent changes in PlayStation management comes a move that looks to centralize power in the US, as reportedly dozens of UK staff are laid off. As the news of the PS5 broke, US executives from PlayStation came to the London office to announce the redundancies, and that remaining staff will have to interview, job application style, to keep employment. To what extent this is simply optimizing the organization or a power play inside the company to consolidate everything in the US isn't really known, though it does smell a bit of the latter given how the recent PS5 reveal in Wired wasn't communicated to the European offices. Sony PlayStation has historically had a very decentralized structure that allowed for dedicated PR and marketing campaigns locally and helped sign up local titles with less global appeal. Concerns exist whether this will still be the case with the move to do more centrally in the US, and a look to how this takes away from what has in past generation been seen as an advantage over the competition. And now for a feature coming to Steam that PS4 gamers have been enjoying for a while: Remote Couch-CoOp. Valve has sent an email out to developers announcing the next big feature being the ability to share a local multiplayer game with friends who are online. In simple terms, Steam will stream the visuals of the game to up to 3 other players, and then send those players' controller inputs back, allowing them to participate in the game, even when the game has no native online multiplayer feature. Implementing online multiplayer in indie games is a non-trivial obstacle for many smaller developers, and despite modern tools to help do so, it is far from as easy as some gamers seem to think. Valve implementing support for playing couch co-op games remotely will significantly extend the number of games available to friends in remote places to play together. Having used the corresponding feature on PlayStation multiple times, it is a welcome addition to gaming, but players beware, it can introduce significant input latencies, and at least on the PS4s, it's recommended to not play across continents, and to use wired connections for all machines involved. Of course, October is really the big game release month, and we couldn't cover everything in the upcoming game segment on the main show, partly because many of the month's games wait until the final few weeks before announcing the actual release date. To compensate for that, we figured we should bring up a few titles you might have missed. Kronos Interactive and Mantis Games have announced that Journey for Elysium will be released October 31st on HTC Vive and Oculus Rift systems. The game is inspired by Greek mythology and sees the player in the role of an unnamed hero who has passed on and finds himself trapped in the underworld. In order to reach Elysium and subsequently obtain redemption, the mysterious traveler must use all his wits and skills in a series of increasingly elaborate twists and challenges. Journey for Elysium is a story-driven VR-only game where you are drawn into a deeply rich and immersive world inspired by the ancient mythos, and along the way you will discover more about the protagonist's enigmatic and shrouded past. My only question is how they managed to get picked up by a publisher that's specifically named from one of the youngest titans, who also happens to be the ruler of the Elysian fields that the game's name references. And Arte and the team behind the narrative adventure, The Wanderer Frankenstein's Creature, has announced that they are releasing it on Steam for Windows and Mac, also on October 31st, and Android, iOS and Switch in 2020. We spoke with the developers at EGX Rest earlier this year as part of our Interest series, which you can find on YouTube. The Wanderer Frankenstein's Creature goes back to the roots of Mary Shelley's legendary novel, Frankenstein, and invites players to discover a being quite different from the pop culture icon. It stars a creature that is neither good nor evil, traveling through Europe in a search to find its origin and to learn about humanity. This journey is meant to be emotional and challenging for both the creature and the player, as beauty and kindness are often followed by darkness, hate, and fear. The backdrops in the game are handcrafted watercolor environments, 3 years in the making, changing from light and colorful to dark and moody, underlining that emotional atmosphere of the game. And finally, if you got a Switch and are ready for some psychedelic fruit-based fun, go have a look at Family Tree. The game refers to itself as a pinball puzzler, and you play as Mr. or Mrs. Fruits bouncing around or shot out of cannons, picking up stuff and trying to find their baby fruits. The baby fruits have all been fruit-napped by an evil sugar skull, and you have to combat him by solving puzzles. And just to up the ante, you will have to do all that while listening to dubstep, drum and bass and acid tracks, which of course might not be an obstacle for some people. Family Tree is Switch only and looks to be an excellent entertainment on the go, especially when looking to drown out the sounds of a train ride. And it released yesterday. Okay, that is it from a quick Friday news block. As always, like, subscribe and all that, and leave a comment to participate in our Steam Key giveaways. Don't miss Monday's news, and we have a deadly, dance-centric game developer interview lined up for the Wednesday episode, so stay tuned.